Welcome to Happily Ever Afters, where love doesn't stop at romance. Join us as we share the tales of everyday magic and celebrate life's sweetest moments. Hear inspiring accounts of love, intimacy, and pure joy as we uncover the secrets behind true devotion and partnerships that really work. Brace yourself for a full-on heart melting. Here's your host, Carlos Clemente.
Hello, 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 America. Once again, it's time for Happily Ever Afters. You know, as I continue to do this show, I get more excited every time I do because we just never know who we're going to have. You know, Happily Ever Afters is what's love got to do with it? It's everything. It's everything in our lives. And today we're going to have one of those moments. Here's my host, the lovely, well-traveled Dorothy Lucy.
Hey, my shirt actually says love today, so.
Great.
And I met my husband in college. These guys met in high school. I can't wait to hear their story.
Yeah, they have a great story. All right, let's get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a first. I have never met anyone that has won an Oscar before.
Ooh, where is it? I'm looking. Oh, wait. Is that it in the back? I think I do see it.
Okay. We have Monique and her fantastic husband, Sidney Hicks. Welcome to Happily Ever Afters.
Thanks for having us.
It's quite an honor to have both of you here. And
Monique, you look amazing. Okay, just saying.
Thank you.
Like I said, I still want that hat. I got to find a way to get his hat.
All right, Sidney, you look good too. I agree.
All right. The list of your accomplishments for both of you is just on and on and on. And I've followed you for years. And I got into your story. I didn't know some of your story before. Now, I would like for you to tell me where your story is now. You know, you've both come a long way
Together.
and it's just fantastic. So, tell us about you two.
You want to start? We met in the 10th grade at Randallstown Senior High School. And did I sit next to you or Antoine?
Me.
I sit next to you.
Mm-hmm.
So Sydney's best friend to this day is named Antoine Harris. So Antoine sat, I sat, and you sat because I was in the middle, right? And we were truly best friends. And as we got older, we became like brother and sister. We were roommates together. We dreamt together. We talked about our dreams together, and that was like brother and sister, right?
What?
And then one
Wait,
day,
you were roommates and nothing ever happened?
we were roommates, and I knew his girlfriend with no S, and he knew my boyfriends with an S. Okay, we were truly like brother and sister. We were, and people always ask us, "Did y'all ever think about it? Did y'all ever?" When we were coming up, we didn't, because it was, I could confide in him. I could trust him. I could trust him with my life. But we never looked at each other like we could be partners until.
Well,
Until.
jokingly say,
Yes.
if we're not married by the time we're 40,
Yes.
we got to marry each other.
And then he would say, I would kill you if I married you. So, and now we sit here almost 20 years in.
Well, congratulations.
When I first knew my husband in college, I didn't really like him. And then years later, we went out on a date and I don't know, somehow instantly fell madly in love. What about you guys? What changed?
Even as kids, even at 14 years old, he was always very kind. Like, he was always very nice, always a gentleman, always very respectful. And I watched him with his female friends, and he was just this nice guy. And I think one night when I came home and I was walking up the steps, you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, Monique, I could be your best kept secret. And I was like, go ahead. And it didn't even register what he was saying at the time. And when it really clicked in, I went to a show to see Gerald Levert, right? And this is when I believed in my mind Gerald Levert was my boyfriend. Now, I said I believed it in my mind. Not that it was just in my mind. And when I went on the road, I wasn't having a really great time. So I called who? My best friend, Sidney. And I was telling him what was going on. And he said, well, when you get back, come on over, let's hang out. So speed up to, I had a BET party at my house, an after party. And Sidney was there. And the next day I was supposed to go to New Orleans for Essence, right? So I have a backyard full of people, but I got to go upstairs and start packing and getting ready. So Sid comes upstairs with me. It was nothing for Sid to see me with no clothes on. We were roommates. So it was nothing. It was never an uncomfortable space. So after I get out the shower and I'm getting ready, he says, I'll see you when you get back. Come on over when you get back. So I said, okay. So he leaned in to kiss me. Now, I don't know if his story is different than my story, but when he leaned in,
we have to hear both, obviously.
Okay, normally it's a cheek kiss. Like, okay, I'll see you later. This time it was a half a lip and cheek. So it got half a lip and the cheek. And it felt something. I was like, oh. And I think after that happened, both of us was like, what did we just do? Like, what just happened? So I went to the Essence Festival. I came back and he had fixed me dinner at his place. And he read me this amazing poem. And we've not been apart since that.
So, Sidney, you had a plan the whole time.
I think you did.
You had a plan. That's calculated moves.
I would say to a degree. The moment I understood that she wasn't being treated in a certain way, we weren't 40, but we were 38 at the time. No, 36 at the time. So I had enough experiences in my life as a single man to start putting two and two together and say, oftentimes when you meet somebody under the circumstances of boyfriend and girlfriend, it gets different. But when your relationship has evolved from best friends to, we used to call each other brother and sister, to now, even in the relationship when we've had disagreements, we have called on the brother and sister in our relationship to ask, if I said to my sister, what would you do to Monique's wife if Monique responded in the way that she did to you? And then Monique might say, I will cuss that bitch out.
All right. Now,
so that would kind of alleviate the conversation. So we've been allowed to defer to the friendship, the best friends, the brother and sister. Mm-hmm. And now we're husband and wife.
If you felt something from a half kiss, though, I mean, obviously there was something there. And then you wrote a love poem.
Well, I wouldn't call it that, but I did write a poem.
Okay.
It was a love poem. Okay. Right. It was a love poem. It was a spicy love poem. It was one of them love poems. You'd be like, oh.
Okay, so we take brother and sister relationship. You've always had this friend relationship. Okay, now we're talking about you're going to a real friend relationship. How has that continued? All right, you understand what I'm saying now? All right, yeah, you've had this friendship, high school, blah,
like
blah,
they
blah,
had
blah,
the foundation.
blah. Yeah, okay, and then you found out you had feelings for each other. Now, love is great and everything, but love without that friendship that you've developed, how have you kept that strong?
I think in a way you kind of articulated it. It's kind of like light. It keeps going on forever. Once you are that friend of one another, the respect that you have for the other person in your wantingness to make them happy. So if you have to communicate something that makes them unhappy, they know you for so long that they know that there's a particular reason for it. So the marriage took work, the friendship didn't, because the friendship was already in place once we were married. Once we said, we're at an age at 36 at that time. Now I'm be 58 this year. But we were at an age and had known each other since we were 14, and now we were 36. That as opposed to saying, let's just rush and get married right away, but let's be together for a year. We know how after that period of time, there's no use in stringing it on for 5-10 years. We've known each other for, long enough, but let's not rush just to make sure what we think it is what it is. We did that. And again, it's the friendship that has withstood everything. When anything was ever in question in reference to our judgment about something, the friendship allowed us to always talk together as if we were going to always be together, because once we got together, we envisioned ourselves always being together, because we have always been together since we were 14. And when you live a life that person has been in your life longer than, not being in your life, you just kind of foresee them being in your life always. There's no B plan.
All right, you both have these tremendous careers, okay? Sidney, I'm directing this to you first. How do you take everything you guys have been through since 14, since a young age? How do you take everything, because you guys have had so much to fill your life that could move you one way or the other way? How have you taken so much of everything that's happened in your lives to get you where you are now with this beautiful woman?
I think it's just the day after day that got us here is the day after day that will move us forward. So nothing has changed in the dynamics of, you have great days, and as we say, every day is a great day. If you don't believe us, just try missing one. And you have days that can be challenging your greatness. And for us, we've only had great days and days that have challenged our greatness. And our belief in one another has, allowed the relationship to be what it is, because I had never written dialogue or monologues ever in my life, but my wife, in her crazy way of thinking, said, write mine for the BT 2004, write everything on my material. And she didn't. When I was finished, I told her to take a look. She gave me a note. We moved forward. But it's like, who believes in a person? What is it that makes them know? And vice versa, just our belief in one another based upon the things that we've seen has allowed us to get to this point. And with a great deal of, what's the word I'm looking for? We are grateful, to the universe for allowing us to be in each other's lives.
And your thoughts, Monique?
It was, in the beginning, it was very challenging for me, because I had never had anyone that was so loving, so patient, so kind, but extremely direct. And it was times that it would get so direct that my ego couldn't withstand it. Like, my ego couldn't take what he would be saying to me. And he would say to me, is what I'm saying the truth? And I would say, yes. And he would say, I can deal with your tears. I can deal with anything that you're going through, because it's going to make us better. And I remember him saying to me, when we were just best friends and brother and sister, you were somebody else's responsibility. Now that you're mine, you're my responsibility. Now that you're my wife and our children's mother, you are my responsibility. And I had never had anybody in my life say that I was their responsibility. So for how challenging it was, it allowed me to grow up. Oh, like he had to. I had to unlearn so much. I had to unlearn so much of not what I was taught, but what I watched. So I was taught how to behave. I was taught how to argue. I was taught how to be mad. I was taught how to stay angry. I was taught these things because I watched it in my parents and in all the women in my family. They were these very strong and wrong and loud women. And I watched that. And that's what I knew. So now to have somebody that's been knowing me since I was 14 years old, I couldn't hide. I couldn't let my money and my fame be so powerful in my mind that my behavior would be ignored or my behavior. And I was talking to a friend of mine early today, and I said, because he said, when you go on stage, you light up when you talk about your husband. And I said, because he loved me through my sickness. He loved me when I was at my worst. He was so patient. And every time I talk about him, it does this to me, because you see some relationships and you know that they're playing for the camera and they want to make it look one way. When we're not talking to anybody and it's just he and I laying in the bed, what he pours into me allows me to be my best. And I'm not saying I'm the best, but it allows me to be my best. So I think how we got here was he was just so patient with me. And he was so gentle. And then to have children and watch him nurture our family. And he nurtured us in such a way that I'm used to coming from a home where there's argument and there's mad and you're angry. I remember one day I watched him with the twins, and they were about 18 months to 2 years old. And when they got up, they just stopped moving around. And he said, when you get up, you greet one another. You say good morning, and you give each other a hug. And to watch them at 19 years old get up this morning and give each other a hug when they say good morning. You know, and he does not like this word, but I don't know any other word to use. I'm married to a king. And everything that a king is, he is. And I said one day on stage, and I knew I was going to have to deal with what I said. But I said, you know how some women say God fills them up? When I think about my husband, that's what he does for me. And that's what he does to me. So for any of you beautiful sisters listening to this right now, sometimes we got to get out of our way to be loved properly and to love back properly. I hope I answered that, Carlos.
Oh, my God.
Yes, you did.
I think so.
You did. I had to pause for a minute there.
I mean, we're all close to tears, but I have to think, Monique, you're a comedian. I have to think laughter is a big part of your life, too.
Oh, my goodness. My husband is the funniest person on the face of this earth. And some of the things he say, I say, I'm taking that to the stage. So, you know, he is hilarious. And for me. And we have a lot of laughter, you know. And now that our kids are older, we have a lot of laughter because they get it. They understand it. They understand the spicy words now.
What are you guys working on right now?
Each other.
No,
Jim, this is a love story.
Yes. What kind of work, or what projects are you working on?
Yeah.
And you're on the road. Are you traveling together too?
No. We since the beginning, we've never done that because it's always one's got to be home with the family.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I
go out on the road. You know, we always say he set it up, I knock it down, and I come back home.
Mm-hmm.
All right, can't get any better than that. So, with everything that you've said today, I would like for both of you, in your own way, it's brief because we're running out of time. What is how would you tell someone to be in their happily ever afters moment?
I would say find and know what makes you happy and be in alignment with your partner, and then just sit back and enjoy.
Mhm.
Monique?
I would ditto that. I would ditto that.
Just the way you look at each other, I get it.
I have a quote here I would like to read to you. A strong relationship isn't about inseparable. It's about being two whole people who choose to walk through life together. And I think you two have just told us that. So
That's it.
take that with you as you go through the day. That little say. I picked it this morning not because of you guys. I just saw it, and I said, you know what? I'm going to keep this one today. So, to follow you, how do we stay in touch with you? Do you have social media, etc., so everybody can keep up with both of you?
Well, my husband does not have social media.
He's too busy doing real stuff.
That's all. My Instagram is the Real Mo Worldwide.
Okay. I'm kind of speechless. She hit us so hard.
I've loved
that I was
spending some time with both of you.
I mean, it was just incredible. I wasn't expecting the response that you guys have given today. It was just fantastic. I like Monique. I've followed you for years, and now I see a different person. I saw a person I never knew was there, and so thank you. So when I watch you, when I watch you from here on out, I'm just going to be like, oh, and I'll be thinking, Sidney, I'd love to sit down with you just sometime and just you and I talk, So just you and I talk. I'll get that hat too, Monique. I'm going to get that hat somehow. All right, but just you two are incredible. You're incredible. I just
a real
want
love
the
story.
World to embrace you two, and I can't. I'm Dorothy. I'm lost for words here.
And learn from you all. I think you've given us a bunch of relationship lessons, whether or not you meant to. But it's a true love story. Thanks for sharing.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
One question, because what's it like to be with an Oscar winner?
Does she carry that thing around with her?
It's a beautiful thing because it makes you say in negotiations, were you aware that she's an Oscar winner?
That is the best sentence. Were you aware?
Outside of that, it's splendid to be with Monique, who happens to be an award-winning actress and comedian. That's just the proverbial cherry on top.
Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
I would love to have you back on again, and we'll find let's stay up to date. Let's stay up to date and just continue to share what you two have done together, because the world needs to know. It really does.
We appreciate it. And a special shout out and love to Lori Muslow.
Hey, Lori.
She's sitting right here, waving,
Right here. All right.
sending you guys a kiss,
Well, thank you.
sending you many kisses.
Thank you very much.
Baby.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right, that concludes another edition of Happily Ever Afters, everybody. You can join us on the UBNGO network. You can watch us on different podcasts or listen like on Apple and things like that. So please join us, subscribe, YouTube, just follow us. Carlos, Dorothy, all right? and the incredible staff we have, Lori and all everybody, the production studio. I just want to thank you, and till we meet again, happily ever afters, everybody.